I want to bring in NewsNation travel editor Peter Greenberg on this. Peter, let's talk about this testimony. We hear Calhoun apologizing, but he is also defending the company's safety record. What do you make of his remarks?
Well, he was forced to do that. It's not the first time he's apologized, and it's not the first time he's defended the company's safety record. The problem here, it's systemic, and it just didn't happen back in 2018 when the first of those two Boeing 737 crashes happened. It happened way before that with cost-cutting and a CFO mentality that then forced the company to outsource so many of their production work. If you go back in history, Boeing was an exemplary company that engineered, designed, innovated, manufactured, installed, and then inspected everything that went into their planes. That changed about 15 to 20 years ago when they started outsourcing so much of the essential equipment and systems without proper inspection and oversight. And then there, of course, is the relationship with the FAA, which allowed Boeing to do that and allowed Boeing to self-certify their own work, which is a complete conflict of interest. So yesterday's hearing with the CEO of Boeing is just one in a series that's also going to have to address not just the safety culture at Boeing, but the actual relationship they had with a federal regulator known as the FAA, which wasn't doing its job.
I mean, do you think Boeing is currently doing enough now to correct its safety measures, both in reality and also in the eyes of travelers?
Well, it's trying to, but it's saddled with another problem of its own making. It's no longer allowed to inspect their own work. But then who's going to do the inspection? The FAA needs to hire and then train the proper inspectors in an independent way to do that necessary work. And that takes between 6 months and 2 years to do it. That's one of the reasons why the assembly line has been slow to a crawl, if not a stop. So this problem is nowhere near to being solved.
Okay, I appreciate that. And meanwhile, there is another significant headline that I do want to get your insight into today. It is one of these persistent and terrible mysteries. What happened to MH370? It is hard to believe it's been 10 years since that Boeing 777 with 239 people on board vanished from radar. But now British researchers might have an idea on where it is based on a sound. Reportedly, the 6-second signal came from an underwater microphone near Western Australia. A British researcher saying that it was picked up the day the jet crashed. Why are we only finding out about this now? And what is the significance of this? Put it in perspective for us.
Well, let's go back to March of 2014 when MH370 disappeared. In any aircraft accident investigation, the real challenge for investigators is how to find the needle in the haystack. This problem was worse. The biggest challenge here was nobody could find the haystack, and they still haven't. We're dealing with very little information, sparse data. What we do know is that based on the available data, that this plane basically ran out of fuel at altitude and then started a dive. And so the search for the debris field becomes complicated wherever you may find the plane, because it's not going to be in one area. Because once this plane started that dive, it took itself beyond its aerodynamic limits. It went too fast and started literally breaking up in the air. So it's not one comprehensive debris field. It may be spread out over miles, and that's assuming they can find it. Getting one signal underwater is maybe one clue, but it's not going to necessarily be that needle in the haystack.
I see. There have been so many theories and speculations as to what happened to MH370. Do you think we'll ever truly know what happened?
This may be one of the unending mysteries, because we don't have enough data. We don't have enough data to be able to rule everything out before we can rule any one thing in. And even if they find this plane, the only thing they may be able to determine is whether or not it broke up in the air or was somehow shot down. We can tell that based on the way the metal is bent out. But other than that, right now, we're dealing with more than 10 years with a plane and materials that have been submerged at the bottom of some of the deepest parts of the ocean, and that complicates matters even more. So my answer to you is, sadly, I think we may never know.
Understood. Peter Greenberg, always appreciate the context and time. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.